I grew up as a very nominal Christian. My family went to church on Sundays and I went to Sunday school, but our faith was no more involved or any deeper than that. In 2015, I became a freshman at the University of Michigan, and I chose to keep going to church on Sundays because I thought it was a good thing to do. But otherwise, I was living a very secular college life. I was in a relationship with a guy at the time, and our relationship was very worldly and sinful and not centered on the Lord or on faith at all.
I was raised in an amazing home where Christ was at the center of everything we did. For most of my life, I felt like I had a real relationship with God. But in high school, that started to change. I started to look to find my self-worth in social achievement, in athletic achievement, and in worldly relationships with women. And to cover up and hide this second life that I had started to live, I resorted to frequent lying and dishonesty. After graduating high school, this house of sand that I had built came crashing down around me, and I felt very lost. And like the prodigal son, I knew who I must go back to, but I felt like I was too far gone.
I got involved in UCO as a freshman, and UCO was one of the strangest things I had ever experienced. I had never experienced charismatic worship or people praying out loud before, but by the grace of God, I chose to stick around, and I eventually got into a women's group and a Bible study and just started learning so much about the faith. I had never really read the Bible before, and the concept of a personal relationship with Christ and a daily prayer time was very new to me, but it all intrigued me. I knew I wanted a relationship with Christ, even though I didn't really know why. Eventually, I started feeling really guilty for the relationship that I was in. I had built a wall around my mind and my heart that kept me from the Lord because of my sin. And we actually ended up breaking up the summer after my sophomore year at Michigan, and it was really hard for me, but at the same time, I just tried to get as involved as I could in UCO. I moved into a household with other women, and I was in Bible studies and women's group, and I was playing music on the worship team. This was the first time I was really choosing for the faith on my own, and I could feel that wall around my heart was slowly breaking down.
So the summer before my freshman year, I was really reeling from seeing my sin and brokenness clearly for the first time in my life. At that point, I reached out to a mentor of mine who worked for UCO, and he invited me to attend Summer Academy. It was there, that week of retreat with UCO, where the gospel really unfolded in my heart for the first time. I remember we had a worship night, and the prophetic gift was being used, and just a number of words came out, all saying the same thing: mercy, mercy, mercy. And I felt the Lord speak to me in that moment and meet me in the rubble of my life and give me new life. And I remember implicit in that moment was also a call. And it was this knowledge that there was more darkness still in the world, and there were many people who were still living in darkness, and Jesus was on his way to them to bring new life to them, just like he had to me, and he was inviting me to follow him in that call.
I didn't think I wanted to do staff work until my senior year at Michigan. John and I started dating at the start of my senior year, and it was right around the same time that I felt the call to staff work. And I wanted to help young women find and claim their faith, just like UCO had done for me while I was in college.
I was always interested in staff work after graduating, and so when it came time to make that decision, I just looked back at the last 4 years and saw how the Lord had led me, and mission work just felt like the right decision.
I started working for UCO in 2019, and John graduated and we got married in 2020, and that's when we started working on staff together.
Only a few weeks after we got married, we attended our July staff training with the other UCO staff. During that week, some of the directors spoke to the rest of the staff and spoke about their hope to plant a new UCO in the coming years. That night, I remember Sam and I talked about the plant, and I remember we talked about wanting our marriage to be marked by an openness to the Lord and whatever he might have. The next day, I mentioned to some of the directors that we would be open to considering it.
That fall, UCO approached us and asked us to consider discerning and moving for the plant, and we were surprised to be asked because we had not given it much thought since the initial conversation in July. And at first, when UCO asked us, I was like, no way. And John said, let's do it. So we had some discernment to do, but it was great.
Ultimately, our decision came down to the question of what kind of things do we want to define our marriage and family life. And we wanted to always be willing to take risks for the Lord and to say yes again and again anytime He might say, come follow me. So we saw this not as a clear go from the Lord, but more as an open door that we could choose to walk through or not. And we saw that it could be just as radical to stay as to go.
But the door was open, and we felt a stirring in our hearts to say yes and to take the leap.
So in January of 2021, we said yes to UCO and to the Lord, and after more than a year of prayer and preparation, we've made our move to Lexington, Kentucky, to begin the work of bringing the gospel to students there at University of Kentucky.